Hey, welcome to Minor Details. I'm Nick.
And I'm James.
And we are two industrial designers in the big city.
Sweating the small stuff.
That's right. And yeah, back from my little family reunion.
Yeah.
I listened to last podcast where you had Reed on.
Yes.
Shout out to Reed. Thanks for stepping in.
He always steps in.
And
mostly because he has feet.
I am actually clone number 357. The 356 is still at the farm. 355 is out designing things right now. And then there's 1,000 more that I can't disclose what they're doing.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this week they sent us the sick clone.
Yeah, I have a little bit of cough. Well, actually, I don't know if I want to should I tell the story about the plane?
Probably not.
I think I should tell it.
Okay, fine.
Well, let me just... I mean, I don't know. It's just a fun little story. It's not design related, but hey, this podcast is whatever.
Yep.
I went to my family reunion. It was a lot of fun. Went to Kentucky.
Now, can I ask you something really quick,
question.
Nick? When you said family reunion, I imagined thousands of bakers, all of the clones getting together in North Carolina and hanging out in a field. But what it really seemed to be was you and your immediate family hanging out.
No. I didn't videotape. That's the thing. I didn't do any stories or anything of my extended family. But
gotcha.
Yeah, we had a good amount of people there, maybe 30
You didn't
people.
want to dox anybody.
Yeah, I don't think I'd get doxxed from an Instagram story.
You never know. I mean, a lot of people walk around with T-shirts that
true.
have their printed address on it.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was on my old great-grandmother's farm. And, all the farm things, horses and cows and things like that. I was a little bit under the weather, though, when I was there. And, I had just a cough. And eventually I felt better as I was coming home. But I still had a cough. And I get to the airport, and I was like, I have a little headache. I'm going to take 2 Tylenol. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just take a Dayquil too because I'm coughing a lot.
Yeah.
And as I took the Dayquil, I started to realize, oh, shoot, I need to make sure that these medicines don't mix. I need to make sure these are good medicines to mix. And then I quickly realized that they're both acetaminophen. And then I started having a panic attack that I had taken too much acetaminophen. And at that point, I had boarded the plane.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was feeling really sick. And I don't know if you guys have ever been on a flight before where you were delayed because there was a sick passenger that had to go back to the gate and let them off. Yeah, that sick passenger was me this time. I delayed the whole flight. I even got the email that was like, "Hey, your flight's delayed." I'm like, "Yeah, well, I was the reason." And I'm also not even on the flight anymore. So,
right.
So I got a little sick. They had to taxi me back to the airport, but I'm okay now. I definitely did not have an acetaminophen overdose. It was definitely my just overthinking and anxiety but still a little cough. Hopefully I'll feel better.
Yeah.
But
as my wife pointed out to me, my wife Allison, because of course she's my wife, I share with her these things.
Right.
She said, over-the-counter medicine the dosage levels are such that if you take just a few, it's not very likely that it's an overdose.
Right. Yes. But see,
if you had taken an entire bottle of Tylenol,
yes, that would have been bad.
And then squeezed out a package of Dayquil and popped all those bad boys,
I would have been dead.
You would have been in serious danger.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But three's company.
Yeah, I mean,
I
feel like I realized that and calmed down at the airport, but I definitely did break out in hives and stuff. I definitely had a physical reaction.
And you were also operating,
but it was definitely from my mind,
right,
and not necessarily from the acetaminophen.
You were, and not from your heart. You were
exactly.
I think you were on sick boy logic.
Yeah, sick boy logic is not good logic.
No,
to work
it's
on.
not good logic. I when you told me this story, I traded a story with you that is an embarrassing airplane story for me, and this is on tired boy logic.
Okay.
So this was on my way out to Seattle a couple years ago. I had just started dating my wife, and we had a layover in Dallas, and it was late at night. So New York to Dallas to Seattle. And we literally had to like sprint from our one plane to the next plane in order to make it. And, you know, Dallas Airport is like a
huge,
metropolitan
right.
city.
Yeah.
So we luckily got on a train that just like dropped us right off at our gate, got on the plane, no problem.
Were they closing the gates, or did you just barely make
No,
it?
no, we actually like we made it with time to spare. Like
That's good.
it was,
That's good.
but we were very worried. I was very worried, and so we get into the plane and we're in the row before the exit row, and I see that there's one guy in there sitting in the aisle seat, but the two seats next to him, there's nobody.
Okay.
And if you know anything about my wife Allison and I, we are both over 6 feet.
Very tall people.
Yes.
Yes.
So leg room is a you know, it's a luxury,
Right.
And
Maybe even
especially
a necessity.
a necessity
Yeah.
probably for us.
Yeah.
And so as the plane seemed to completely fill, like the boarding process was over, these seats were still available, and so I asked the flight attendant, I said, can we take those seats? And
Right.
she said, yes, but do it quickly. And so I get up and I go to grab my bag from the overhead, and she just goes, leave it.
Leave it. Leave it.
And I was like, okay. And I sat down in the window seat of
Okay.
the exit row, and she was like, sir, are you prepared in the case of emergency? She goes through the whole thing.
Right,
and
right.
my mind, okay, first of all, I'm a tired boy because not only was it late at night, but I had
Just
also
run a
just sprinted.
5K. Yeah.
So apparently my brain doesn't fire at all cylinders like right after, a relay race. And so she at one point says, are you prepared to pull off that cover? And all I heard was pull off that cover. And I reached my hand up and I ripped the cover off of the emergency door handle. Like not the handle itself, like the door didn't open, but
Right.
the cover that's over
There's like
the
a
handle,
plastic cover, yeah.
which I have to imagine is there because some other idiot like
Did that first.
years
Yeah.
previous, like did pull the handle in that same
And they're
moment.
like, we should put something over that.
So I'm just like I've ripped off this cover and I'm holding it and I'm looking at her and she's looking at me, and the things that are going through my head is like I am now under arrest by the federal government. Like they are going to take me off this plane, me and my new girlfriend, and she instead she just rips it out of my hand and shoves it back on and gives me this look like, do not talk to me. Do not ask me for anything for the rest of this
Did
flight.
you even get a Canada Dry ginger ale or no? Did you get one or no?
I couldn't tell if the carbonation was carbonation or maybe mucus. I don't know.
Gosh.
No, I'm kidding. But yeah, Allison, she had been sitting in the former row that we were in the entire time as this happened, and moved over next to me and was just like, "What were you thinking?" It's like, I don't know. But anyway, so I understand. I understand the sick boy logic.
We all have those airplane stories. Flight stories are a dime a dozen, and they're always good to hear.
So anyway, and that's our yearly updates.
I've also kind of dropped off the Instagram thing. I don't know if that's an update or not. I just feel maybe it's more of a confession. Like I haven't posted on Instagram like barely any this month.
I sent out search parties.
I mean, no one noticed, I'm sure.
This is the funny thing, because one time I said to you off the pod, I was like, Nick, I haven't posted, like, what are people thinking?
Right.
And you were like, nobody cares.
Yeah, no one literally cares.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know about my Instagram thing. I don't know. I just like haven't felt. You know what it is, James?
What?
I just have other things I've been doing. I don't know. I feel like I'm giving a reason why I haven't posted on Instagram, and I don't know why I feel like I have to do that. Maybe that's just. I feel like you took your little Instagram break. Maybe I should take an Instagram break and just be like, delete it.
Yeah, I don't know. We were talking about this the other day, and I guess at a certain point, it's like, Nick, what are you trying to get out of Instagram? This is turning into a therapy session. But what are you trying to get out of Instagram at this point?
I mean, it's always been a place for me to experiment and just post my ideas and new things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's definitely evolved to be a point of like more of like a diary or like a process thing.
Yeah.
Where I want to start posting my work as like more of just like a piece of an art almost. I don't know.
I don't know about a piece of art, but a piece of process, right?
Yeah, a piece of process, but post it in more of like a artful way instead of more of like well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I really like how Visibility does their Instagram, where it's more of like, hey, I know you've seen this thing 100 times, but here's another 101 more of another context of how this object looks.
Right.
And I don't really know what that means.
I mean, I think it's a smart way, and it was like a way that I've also been thinking about and trying to get into, which kind of puts less pressure on you. Well, it's this interesting thing because it's like you spend all this time working on like, and we're going to get into the whole real designer ship thing later on, but it's like, yeah, you spend all this time on these products or projects that you've worked on, and to just do like one post about them almost doesn't give it justice.
For sure. And here's another thing I'm thinking about with my Instagram. I feel like I'm transitioning from this phase of like Nick the Instagram designer to more of like Nick Baker's studio. That's the transition I'm trying to actively make, and maybe that's why I haven't posted, because I'm not exactly sure how to do that yet. But anyways, I don't know why I feel like I'm giving reasons or making confessions.
Hey man,
but I just felt like I don't know, it was a weekly update.
You're connecting to the people. You're connecting to the audience.
Connecting with the audience.
So no, that's great.
What have you been up to?
It's great that you're not on Instagram. No, I mean, it gets
more power,
more
for
likes
me.
for us. More likes for us small guys. But anyway, I according to the document, I went to a concert.
You went to a concert.
I went to a concert this past weekend with Allison. We went to go see Death Cab for Cutie, and it's a favorite band of ours. Like very. I think both of us started listening to it back in high school, but we didn't know each other in high school. But it was great. But the coolest thing about the whole experience was that it was at this place called Forest Hills Stadium, which is in Queens. And actually, fun fact, Seth Fowler of YouTube fame, and also former guest of the pod,
right?
I think he lived in Forest Hills when he was working at Lifetime Brands.
Oh.
So every night at 9:00, I give a Seth Fowler tour through Forest Hills, Queens. And if you look to your left, you'll see where Seth Fowler used to film his first review videos, his first unboxing videos.
I mean, speaking of Seth Fowler,
yeah, we should get to that. That would, I should have held that off, because then it would have been like a really great segue
transition. But
I really want to get a shot of the exterior of this stadium, because it was built.
Oh, it looks like a coliseum.
It was built in like the 1920s, I think, and it's kind of like almost British in a way, the way that they have it laid out.
Yeah, I would say it's 75% of a circle.
Yeah, it's a horseshoe shape.
A horseshoe shape, yes.
So originally, what it was designed for was for tennis matches.
It has these huge arches on the outside.
Yeah, and like so yeah, it used to be for tennis matches.
Okay.
And I don't think they play many tennis matches there anymore, because the U.S. Open is now, I think, further into Queens. But yeah, it's just this really interesting venue. It feels like you're in England, and like everything is just very well done in there. Like the whole vibe of the stadium. It
kind of reminds you of like there's like all these hidden gems around New York. I think about what is it? The World's Fair?
Yeah.
Isn't that in Queens as well? Where it's like there's a giant globe and a park and like fountains and things.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of cool though.
No, it's cool. And I think actually like back in I think early 2010s area, like it was revitalized. Like I think it had kind of been left abandoned for a while when they moved where they were doing the US Open.
Yeah.
And they revived it for all of these concerts. It was originally like a tennis, or I think in the 60s it became like more of a concert venue.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like a really interesting venue. And yeah, definitely just this this is the thing that I do absolutely love about New York, is like just these hidden gems like this.
And you can live here for 100 years and still not.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you'd live 100 years in New York. I'm sure there's some person that has.
But the picture that I have up right now is kind of a great like snapshot of what's happening just outside the stadium, kind of in this like almost courtyard area.
Yeah.
Of just, it's like green grass. You've got tennis courts, but then you have all these vendors along the side, and all the architecture around that area is very like old English kind of Tudor stuff, which that's another thing about New York, is like when you first come here, coming out of a new subway station that you've never come out of,
it is a new
it's
world.
like walking into a new city. Like,
because there's always there's little pockets of like where different settlers landed.
Yeah.
So it's always kind of a unique architecture and stuff like that.
So it's pretty cool. And then but yeah, I mean, Seth Fowler, he was living, I believe, in Forest Hills, but the segue we were trying to make here is actually that Seth Fowler, friend of us, friend of the pod.
He's a shoe YouTuber.
Shoe YouTuber.
But
shoe-tuber.
Now
he's a
official designer.
Yeah, official shoe designer.
Yes.
So he's always been an industrial designer.
Right, and that's how we've met him.
Yeah, and he you know, when we were both working at Lifetime Brands is when he actually started doing these unboxing videos. But more recently, I would say he's gone more full-time YouTuber.
I think,
I don't know.
He's fully full-time YouTuber, right?
Yeah. I don't know if he does any other design work, like industrial design work on the side.
I kind of want to get Seth back on.
Yeah, we would love to get Seth back on.
Okay.
But very cool story about Seth. He so recently he did this collaboration and with Planters Peanuts.
Yes, Planters Peanuts.
And so I think an agency that was working with Planters, I think it was VaynerMedia, they got in touch with Seth to do this, like to review a shoe that was designed by somebody. I don't know who it was.
Right.
And I hope I'm not blowing up Seth's spot with this information, and we'll have to clear it with him. But this will be insider info for the Discord if not. But they contacted him to review a shoe that they had done for Planters, and he got this shoe and he was like, this is just not going to cut it. Yeah. And so he came back to them and said, I will review this if you let me redesign this shoe.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. That is what you have to do in that situation, is like, if you can, like, because, you know, I don't think Seth would want to review that shoe, but he's like, in his mind, he's like, this could be an opportunity, and he went for it.
Yeah, I've definitely proposed that on a few scenarios, because, you know, I did the Instagram thing. Occasionally there's like small companies that's like, hey, would you like to have this free pen and review it? And
right.
I'm like, unfortunately, I will review something that I have designed if you'd like.
Right.
Usually they just never talk to me. But on occasion, like with like Seth's scenario, like they'll bite, and then you get to like a sweet product out of it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So let's talk about the shoe. So like this is for Seth Fowler's first shoe design.
Yeah.
And I think he nailed it.
I think it's really nice.
It's like it seems like inspired by that classic basketball Air Jordan look. You got this leather outside with a squiggle on it.
Right. And it's called the Crunch Force One.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess that's alluding to the Air Force One.
Yeah. So it is a very classic basketball sneaker silhouette, but it's got some nice flair to it. And I love all the little details on there. Like there's this one detail, and I'm hoping that it's called out somewhere here. But inside the shoe is just like a picture of peanuts.
Yes,
like
on the sole.
On the insole. So it's like you are stepping on peanuts. So there's the crunch. Because if you were stepping on peanuts, you'd make peanut butter, right?
Yeah.
That's, well, but that's not Planters, is it?
I mean, they probably make peanut butter.
Do they make peanut butter?
I mean, I can't imagine they would not.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a peanut company.
Let's find out.
We're Googling live here on the Minor Details podcast.
Yeah. They've got, they got Planters Creamy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Do they got crunchy, though? That's the real question. Are you a crunchy or creamy guy, James?
I'm a creamy guy.
I can enjoy some nice crunchy peanut butter.
This sounds disgusting. Right. And then there's this embroidery of Mr. Peanut's face
on the tongue, which is sweet.
And also, I don't know if it's on any of these images, but there is a monocle hang tag.
I thought that was like the final touch, the icing on the cake.
That's like
the cherry beautiful.
On top. But just look at the video on Seth's page is just like, it's so awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely link to it. You guys should check it out. I mean, we're not like shoe experts, but from a design standpoint, I think this is a very successful design.
Yeah, I think it's great. And we were talking about this off the pod, but I appreciate the fact that like Seth, it's interesting to me that Seth didn't like work at Nike for a bunch of years and then like to then become like the shoe designer at Nike.
Yeah.
He's found this other path.
He's kind of almost hacked the system.
But it takes, I don't know if maybe it's as much work like putting out the amount of videos that he puts out.
Right.
Like he's like been grinding in a different kind of way.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't mean hack as in like I'm not trying to like put down his work for sure.
He didn't take a shortcut, but he took a very interesting path. And I would almost say the path that he took, like, I wonder if like
he trailblazed. There's a better.
He did trailblaze. But like, I think he's got his finger on the pulse. He's like constantly like looking at shoes, looking at materials, like looking at everything with a very critical eye.
And he has 500,000 subscribers who are into shoes like this. So he knows what the best shoe design is going to be.
Yeah. So I think it's just really cool to see. And the other part about it is like Seth is such a great guy.
Yeah.
Like just, I think this is awesome. And I'm so happy that he got this opportunity. It's good to see opportunities go to people who've truly earned it.
For sure.
So yeah, anyway, go check it out. Real Seth Fowler.
Congrats, Seth.
On Instagram. And then, Seth Fowler on YouTube. So.
We have a follow-up.
Oh, yeah.
You want to do a follow-up?
Oh, yeah, we got a follow-up. Speaking of people close to us, my dad.
James's dad. I talked to my mom. I don't think she's listened to the podcast in a while. I got to get her back on that. I think she says she's a little behind.
We address her in every single episode. She should be listening, okay? I want to see some designs out of her. I want to see a Behance go up by the end of the year. I want to see some designs. But yeah, my dad commented on, I think it was 2 podcasts ago, and we were talking about design in developing countries and how you relay the importance of good design.
Yeah, we had a question come in that was like, the listener wasn't like
probably find it
was struggling trying to convince a client of the value of good design, and we tried to talk to it. We gave our as much 2 cents as we could, but I think your dad really had a nice, concise way of speaking to this.
Yeah,
topic.
it was Similvar that asked the question, and then and it was basically like, how can you convince people about the value of good design, especially in developing countries? So my dad, I think, had a really excellent comment. So he said, in emerging countries, personal income can be limited and people are consuming for utilitarian reasons. They tend to buy the cheapest thing that gets the job done. To prove the value of design, select products where good design does not increase cost. My guess is that at the same price point, the consumer will select the better designed product, and that this commercial success will convince the manufacturing community that good design can drive sales.
Yeah, I thought this was just a really great way to sum it up. I also think it's kind of a unique viewpoint, because when I read this, I'm like, oh, well, that's purely all about keeping all the manufacturing processes the exact same and just improving those small details that need improved without adding like extra material or extra parts or anything like that.
Right. Which I think is like a certain gift when it comes to design, is like using all of the same materials and methods that other designers are using, and yet you elevate the product through form and finish.
I find that to be even a more of a challenge or more of a commendable thing.
Right. Yeah.
Than just like making up a new design.
Yeah. Because I mean, because that's the thing, is like, I feel like a lot of people, they would think about certain segments of design as like, oh, I don't want to make that cheap stuff.
Right.
But it's like, there are people that's what they can afford.
Right.
Let's make it the most beautiful, functional thing that they can afford.
Yeah, definitely agree.
So anyway.
Another design news. We have another fellow design friend and podcast guest, Joey Zeledon, has launched his Kickstarter for his hanger chair. We wanted to just update you guys on that. So go out, support Joey.
Yeah.
I believe we talked about it on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
On his episode, right?
We definitely I think it might have been one of the first things we talked about, actually. Because I believe he did this when he was at RIT.
Right.
So
this
when he was
school
in school.
project.
And it's just a great chair. It just takes that like, is it the Marcel Brauer chair that's like, or Bauer, the one that's the cantilevered stool?
I believe so, yes.
Or bent steel.
Yes.
And instead of that like wicker finish or anything else, it's just a series of coat hangers that provide the seat and backing. And it's just like, it's a great design, because like it just takes this really mundane everyday thing and elevates it in a way that's so unexpected but really beautiful.
Right.
And very playful at the same time. It's such a great project.
And if you need to hang your coat up, just take a coat hanger off the top.
Yeah. I wonder, let's check in on the Kickstarter status. I mean, it's like...
It's almost there.
Yeah. It's
his goal is 6,000. He's at 4,000 right now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that, well, I mean, better hop on it quick, because these goals are going to go fast.
Yeah. So congratulations to Joey. That's awesome.
So we'll link to that too as well.
Yeah.
So you can check that out.
I feel like all of this is just segueing so nicely into the topic at hand.
Yes. The topic of the week.
Yes. And Nick, would you like to go ahead and introduce that topic?
Yeah. So the topic is this idea that real designers ship.
Yeah.
And this was kind of started, well, I've actually heard this back in school, real designers ship. But Michael DiTullo, another podcast guest, has recently resurfaced it and put a Instagram initiative behind it.
Yeah.
So now there's a hashtag real designers ship, and there's also an Instagram real_designers_ship, where Michael DiTullo is now highlighting shipped products from designers across the world.
Yeah.
And he wrote an entire article about it on Core 77, kind of explaining his thought processes behind it. I don't know what.
Yeah, and the title of the essay is "Real Designers Ship." The hashtag is not a put down; it is an aspiration. And it's it's a really good article. I would recommend reading it. But this is kind of like
a snippet
where the whole thing comes from. So this is quoting the essay. Michael writes, "This brought me back to 2008 when I interviewed at Frog Design. I didn't bring a PowerPoint or many sketches. What I brought was a duffel bag full of production products and factory prototypes."
I think he told that story where he
Yeah.
just brought in a bag of things he made
Yeah.
to his interview.
That's awesome. And one of the creative directors who interviewed me, Howard Nook, Howard went on to be the VP of design at Ammunition and Samsung and is one of the founders of the Palm reboot, looked at my table full of products, smiled, and said, "Real designers ship." I never forget that simple summation of what our focus is as industrial designers.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a great article. Read into it. I think definitely Michael's viewpoint behind it is like trying to get people to motivate designers to achieve the actual goal of industrial design.
Right.
I think it kind of comes out of this era of, hey, we've done a lot of sketches on Instagram, we've done a lot of renderings, we see all the flashy stuff, but that's not really the goal.
Right.
The goal is to have products in people's hands.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the impetus, I believe.
Because I think we can all, for those of the industrial designers out there, I feel like we can all remember that moment, that kind of like that product moment that inspired us to be industrial designers.
Yeah.
And, for me, it was working at the toy store and interacting with these yo-yos and the Astro Jacks and just like loving everything about it and just realizing that a person had to make all these decisions about the form and the finish and the packaging and all of that. And I was just like, I need to know who this person is.
Right, for sure.
It's funny, like when you're growing up, like, I don't know about you, but a lot of things I just kind of thought like, oh, they've just always been there.
Right. And that's how everyone people that don't know about industrial design, that's how they think. They're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this company just had us a factory and it just pumps out. It's just like, there's a magic machine that just makes these things.
Right.
It just automatically works.
Yeah. But, I think this is very much a response to, we just went through what I have dubbed hot sketch / render gate.
Copyright that.
Yeah. And, so like a couple months ago?
It's been since earlier this year. We had our episode on it.
Yeah. So, there was this whole thing about like, we shouldn't be showing all of these hot sketches and renders. It's dishonest about what design is all about.
Right.
Like, design is about final finished things, and we need to show more of the process.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think it's a really interesting initiative to start to get back to like, okay, what is it all about actually?
Right. I forget where I've heard this first, but I do remember being in school and like talking with my friends about it, being like, oh yeah, we're gonna ship products. Like like that was the goal. Like we were all being like, oh, I can't wait till I ship a product because then I can call myself an industrial designer.
Yeah.
And I remember even when I shipped the Bendmere for the first time, that was almost a sub ship in and of itself, because I was literally shipping that product,
Right.
like physically packaging it and shipping it out. So like even that was like a real designer's ship, and then even under that, it's like a real designer's ship themselves.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. That was just like a kind of a motivation for me in my mind of like, can I actually make a product start to finish just me?
Yeah.
But also there's plenty of products on here that, most designers work with manufacturers and work with companies to ship these products.
Right.
I think what's kind of cool about Michael DiTullo's initiative, and what I kind of admire about it, is like he's highlighting products that are, I would say some products are more mundane.
Mm-hmm.
They're not all like, it's not the les minutiae of industrial design.
Right.
It's like just the mundane products that I've shipped from all the designers around.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely like a breadth of like the type of work, and it is interesting just to see like the types of things that designers have touched like this one that's just the
Starbucks
Starbucks cup.
which is so cool to think about because we've all seen this reusable Starbucks cup.
So I guess this is,
and now we know the designer behind it.
yeah, Tyler Gilbert.
Right.
But yeah, it's like, one of these things, it's like this is like the Bose headphones and the paperclip. It's like it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and it's never going to get posted on any type of blog.
Right.
And even a sketch of this would not get recognized at all.
Yeah.
So I just really love the fact that it's getting recognized.
Yeah. No, this is great. And I think it also starts to open up this conversation that is like, okay, yes, real designers ship. And then like, but how do we get the products to be the quality, or, like there is all this kind of like render and sketch porn out there, but it's like, to really be a great industrial designer, like getting those last final finishing details and going through the process, like,
That's
maybe
the
not
hard part.
Maybe not all designers go through this, but like reviewing samples and making sure that everything is just right. Like that was, I posted something. It just so happened that I like was home and I was thinking, you know what, I really should start taking pictures of my work, like kind of like what we were talking about earlier. And so I put together this little collage of products and took a picture of it, posted it, and then I saw DiTullo's story about real designers ship.
Oh, that's funny. It was just coincidence?
It was, maybe I had seen it, and maybe
Subconscious.
like subconsciously I was like, oh, I should do this.
This is a beautiful image. All of your kitchen all of your kitchen products knolled together.
Yeah, and so it was, it's like I learned a lot at Lifetime Brands, just like in the whole process of inspecting work. And it's something that we've encountered recently at our current job of like going through and inspecting things, and how crucial it is, and to be very explicit about like the things that you're calling out and how they should be altered. And like,
definitely
these are the things that inevitably like make a quality product. It like that is one part of the process,
right? And
it's a part of the process that maybe we also don't talk very much about, is like that the super back end,
right, of like just making PowerPoints and like throwing images in and like making it really rudimentary to be like red X. Don't do that, because a lot of these PowerPoints are going overseas to China, and like you really have to almost make it like use as little words as possible and make graphics as possible. Yeah,
it's the longest distance game of charades ever played.
Exactly.
But it's critical, and but like these are that's the kind of lessons that you learn from those things. Now on the Discord, there was a lot of conversation about this whole idea.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some comments, and a lot of people listening are students, or maybe not even designers themselves, or maybe a different type of designer. And I think maybe we should say that, Michael DiTullo's Real Designers Ship is really about industrial design.
Right.
For just to put that out there. There's not, if you're a UX designer, you're obviously not shipping products.
Right.
Like we get that. But you are a UX designer because you are uploading your software to people's phones, right?
Right.
So that is your quote unquote shipping.
I almost wrote this comment that was like you're only an industrial designer if something that you design could help defend you against zombies during the zombie apocalypse.
That's a good achievement. Yeah, like you have to make something that you could use as a weapon.
Yeah, hashtag real designers survive.
And so your weapon would be a peeler?
Yes, it would be a peeler.
Peeler? I don't know, James.
Listen, I have bag clips in my arsenal. I've got a basting brush. You could maybe like put the basting brush in some acid, an acid bath, and just swipe the zombies really quick.
I don't know what my tool would be. I think I have dog toys that look like meat. chunks of
Oh,
meat.
yeah.
So maybe that would
You could
distract
fool
them.
them.
I could fool them.
You also have like frisbees and stuff you could throw in their faces.
I also have I also have one of the launching sticks. Maybe that would be a good weapon.
I mean, let's be honest here. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and if I have to make measuring cups into a weapon, I'll do it.
Well, what we do, James, is I'll attach your peeler to the end of my launching stick.
Oh, yeah.
And then we actually have something that can do damage.
For sure.
But yeah. I guess I just wanted to say, like, this is more of just like Michael DiTullo said, it's like an aspiration, something to strive for as a designer.
Right.
And if you're a design student, like, it's okay to be a design student.
Right.
You'll get to that point of like actually getting a manufactured product, and you can feel happy about being an industrial designer officially.
Yeah. Well, and I think another part of the conversation was like, what about the people working at consultancies that hand off the work to the people who then get it made? What
It
about
still gets
like
made, though.
what about the render artists that like don't really touch,
Right. But then you're a render artist, then.
Right.
I think it's more of like a title thing. Like,
yeah.
a render artist wouldn't want to be called an industrial designer.
Right.
They'd want to be called a render artist.
Right. My point was that, like, as long as you're a part of this process to push an idea forward toward production, like in the design sense, because maybe if you're a 3D artist and you're building things in CAD, but maybe you didn't create the initial intent, but you're fleshing out details and things like that. Maybe you're fleshing out things about the CMF.
Yeah.
Like, I think that holistically, that team, that's a part of the industrial design process. But do you think that it is like strict, like you have to be in touch with the production CAD?
No.
Or like,
no.
Yeah.
I mean, I officially called myself an industrial designer when I had my first product shipped, but my first product I had just sketched at the consultancy I interned at.
Right.
And then a year later, it was a real product. And it
Right.
looked definitely different from my sketch, but it definitely was still from my sketch.
Right.
And I considered that my first production design. And that's when I was like, oh, this is official.
Yeah. Because I think
But there was plenty of other people that did work on that as well. Like, I
Right.
didn't do it alone. And I also, like, didn't ever do any CAD work on it. But
Right.
that was like I shipped that product.
Right.
Or I helped shipped it.
Yeah, because I kind of, in this moment, I kind of feel like we need to be explicit and be like, if you're designing things with the end goal of it being manufactured using industrialized processes,
Right.
you are an industrial designer. If you're just doing like a bunch of clay pots that look all the same,
Then
but
you're
you've thrown them
a
on
sculptor.
the wheel. Yeah, like that, or you're a potter,
Right.
Or you're a product designer maybe, but it's not industrial, because the whole point of industrial design
Yes.
is that you are thinking of these things with the constraint of it being within an industrialized process.
I agree. I think that, yeah, I definitely agree.
Because that is really, to me, what is being celebrated is like, despite the constraints of an industrialized process, people who are designing products are making great products, beautiful products. Like the industrial process is a constraint.
Yeah, it's very difficult too.
Yeah. And so it is a milestone, I think, for designers to understand those constraints and to make something beautiful despite those constraints.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Those are my current thoughts
I
on
agree.
it.
100%.
But I think it's great. I can see how people could read it as like kind of like flippant or kind of, antagonistic.
Yeah.
Like real designership. Actually, when I first saw the hashtag, I was like, I read it as like real designership. And I was like, I thought it was about like people who are friends that worked on something together.
Designership.
Or like people.
Like friendship.
Yeah, like people who work together on a product to bring it to life.
What about real designers hip? I think we're pretty hip, right?
Real designers hip.
Hip and cool. Oh, man.
I've got, every designer out there has a hip that that made them what they are today.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yes.
But so those I think are our final thoughts on Real Designership. We would love to hear more about what you guys think. There was a really great conversation happening in the Discord, and I think, I love to plug the Discord because I think that that's where these ideas get fully formed, is through conversation. I know that the conversation that we have on the podcast, like, we're not rehearsing this conversation. This is like, we are
live.
We're live with our thoughts. Although this podcast got a little off the rails for a second, but this is it. This conversation is happening in the moment. We're fleshing out our thoughts, and that's how we get to good conclusions.
Of course, we're not perfect. We can't get it right the first time.
Absolutely not.
Let us know what you guys think as well.
So anyway.
Yeah, and shout out to Michael DiTullo for starting this. I think it's a cool initiative, and I love the fact that I get to see all the mundane products that have been made. I've had this idea before, actually, of like, what if we made a Wikipedia for industrial design, but instead of it was just literally every single thing that had ever been made, and then have people's names attached to it to know who the designer was.
That would be
so go into the dollar store and find all the cheap dollar store crap, and then figure out who the designer was.
Track down. It would be like
it's some person in China for sure.
That's like some sort of 23andMe. Like you put like a little like sample of the product into a test tube, and you send it in to the scientists in the lab.
There's got to be chemistry involved,
and they find the original designer. That would be quite a show.
So yeah, this is kind of
coming this fall to HGTV. But anyway, let's move on to some questions.
Cool. Okay. We had a question come in to our email, and our email is minordetailspodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
Send a question if you have one. We didn't have any voicemails this week. Voicemail is 1-646-494-4011. So send one in. You're pretty likely to get played if you send one in. So our first question, I don't think they had a name. They just had an email, and I didn't want to read out their email.
Okay, fair enough.
They said, I recently quit my corporate job of 2 years, which it didn't let me utilize all of my design-related skills. It was pretty much limited to 2D designing and had little space for creativity. I want to try going for a consultancy gig or freelance work. Any tips for restarting/rebooting my dormant skills? Or should I just focus on the skills I've been using and find a similar job, even if it doesn't help me grow as a designer, but pays the bills? Thoughts?
So are they asking like they want to get back into industrial design?
Yeah, it appears so. So it appears as if they've been doing design, but it's been more 2D, and they haven't been utilizing much of their 3D skills,
right,
or their dormant skills.
Yeah, I mean, I think, okay, so first of all, I assume that they mean they did these 2 years of a corporate job right out of school.
That could be, yeah.
That seems to me to be what they're saying here. And
context clues would say that, right?
Yeah. And so I think 2 years in, you have not signed yourself up for any sort of like determined fate.
Right.
Like this, you can I'm not going to say very easily, but you can get back into industrial design if that's really what you want to do. Like, I think this is a case of figuring out what you want to do and working towards that, and maybe not necessarily going for the safer option, because to me it sounds like you're not happy with doing the kind of work that you've been doing for the last 2 years.
I mean, you just quit, so
like, unless you're like the Michael Jordan of 2D design and everybody's watching your career and they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to be big. Like, if you want to make this change, then I would say make the change.
Yeah, I think,
or start to work on making the change.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of a tough scenario, right? Because now you're in this place where, maybe the financial thing is now an issue of like, oh, hey, I don't have a job anymore. Do I take time off and, burn through my savings to focus on my old skills and kind of rehash my portfolio? Or do I find something right now that is utilizing my 2D skills, but, pays a little bit that I won't like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think maybe you could do the rehashing the portfolio in the nighttime.
Right.
After you work.
Right.
So if you do get low on your savings, definitely you should get a job and then rehash your portfolio.
Yeah.
I also, if what you're saying is like this person is 2 years out of school, then I'm curious what their their school portfolio looks like, because it's not that terribly old.
No, it wouldn't be that old. And so, yeah, I mean, I think, if you need the money, like find another gig, maybe something that doesn't require too much time, like, like a strict 9 to 5, something like that. And then just diligently work on your portfolio, work on applying for new jobs.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's part of me, and maybe this is not good advice in their situation, because maybe they need the job. But my feeling is like, I would rather like suffer trying to get the thing that I want than have to like go through the rigmarole of just like day in, day out at a job that I hate.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's has to do with like your savings, your personal finances. So I think either way, I don't know. I think you should, it sounds like you want to get back into industrial design because that's where your passion is.
Right.
And so,
I mean, they're listening to this podcast. So.
Yeah. You can put that on your resume.
No, I think that's fair advice. I mean, definitely, if you want it, you're gonna have to pull some late nights. Like, you're gonna have to go and work for that night, those night hours. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, great question. Thanks for sending it in.
Yeah, and then so another question from Will. They say, "Hey fellas, I'm a student in Melbourne, Australia, at Monash University, studying industrial design and business double bachelor. I'm wondering if you had any advice on selecting a business major that works complementary with ID. Would you be able to suggest the pros and cons of heading into marketing, managing, finance, etc.?"
A double bachelor.
A double bachelor.
That's pretty cool.
And if Will is single, that would be a triple bachelor.
Dad jokes.
Assuming that Will is in fact a bachelor. But yeah. I don't know. This is an interesting question, and I'm curious how you would answer it, Nick.
I mean, I think what's interesting, at least from my viewpoint, is like, for me, I studied industrial design, and that's all I got. I just got a bachelor's. But now that I'm moving into this area of like, trying to build my own studio and having almost object, I am running into a lot of business things now where I'm like, getting LLCs and, doing invoices and all these other things, making contracts. And I think certainly business knowledge would help me.
Right.
But also it's like, I don't like doing business. I would much rather just design and hire someone to do business.
Right.
I also think there's a lot of these here that are also very helpful, like finance and marketing. I think marketing is super key, but I also don't know if you need to learn that in school. It's almost like the marketing market moves so fast that I can't imagine what they teach you in school.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to graduate and then Instagram and Snapchat are all dead. And it's going to be some other thing. It's going to be
some dystopian.
It's going to be TikTok.
Social media.
Everyone's going to be using TikTok.
Future.
Are you on TikTok, James?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, we should get on TikTok.
Yeah, make some.
Follow Minor Details Pod on TikTok.
Make some 6-second podcasts. How long do they allow you to video for on TikTok?
I've never tried TikTok.
It's kind of like Vine, isn't it?
No, it's like Vine with music. No, that's Musical.ly. Have you tried Musical.ly?
No.
Okay.
No, but TikTok I think has licenses with music companies, so you can do stuff there.
You know what's kind of frustrating? Okay, this is a rant. You know how on Instagram you can add a music now? Or you can add like lyrics or something?
Right.
Can you do that on your Instagram?
Yes.
I can't.
Stories?
I can't do that on my
Why?
stories. I can do that on my other accounts, but I can't do that on Nick P. Baker because I assume it's
like a legacy account?
No, I assume it's because I have a certain number of followers, and there's probably copyright things where it's like you can't show the song to X amount of people, or else you have to pay us.
Right. Interesting.
That's my
That's a mark. By the way, guys, that's your real marker of success. Not shipping your first product, but if you can't use music in your stories, it means you have 80,000 followers. Congratulations.
I also run into so much trouble doing the live streams where I get music copyright infringed on because I play music in the background. Anyways, that was my Instagram rant. But yeah, I don't know. Any more thoughts for Will?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. I think one way that you could look at this. Okay, first of all, I wish I knew more about finances, just in general. Like that would just be a huge advantage to me in my everyday life. But the other part of that is the other thinking that I'm having here is like, I think it depends on what kind of design you want to end up doing. Because
definitely,
say if you want to eventually start your own studio, I would say finance. But if you're looking to go,
you would say finance over business.
Yeah, well, no, they're in a business major. They're selecting like a focus.
I see.
So, but if you're going into a bigger business, into a corporation, like marketing or management, because like that's the other thing is like,
oh, management. Yeah, if you wanted to be a corporate guy.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking they're splitting their efforts into design and something else. And it's like if I'm going into a company and I've got this split degree, like eventually maybe I want to manage people, and because like maybe I'm not so interested in design that I want to be designing for the rest of my life.
Right. You don't want to do the actual physical design, but you love the process of design.
Yeah, you love the process. And like, good managers are like, that is something that is so, so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've been fortunate to have many good managers in my career. And I think like that would be a great asset if that's the road that you want to go down.
Yeah. I have another thought for Will. So when I was in school, I took a few electives that I thought were really helpful to my career. One was doing bags. So I got a lot of soft goods experience. But all these electives like gave me a little bit of, I guess, starting point for all these skills. And, I think that was maybe more beneficial than like actually picking like another major or a minor and like focusing. Because like you are kind of splitting when you start to delegate like an entire new major, you're going to split some of your time off from your main focus. So like if you still want to be a designer, but you also want all these kind of other backgrounds in business, maybe instead of double bacheloring, you just take a bunch of extra classes of like, oh, hey, I want to learn a little marketing. I want to learn a little management. I want to learn a little finance.
I think what they're intending is to graduate with a dual major.
Right, which I think is useless. Well, not useless.
It's not useless.
But
we're going to get into a resume argument again.
But, I mean, okay.
It's...
The thing is like your portfolio is what's going to get you a job.
Right.
Will. So if you're an industrial designer and you want an industrial design job, your portfolio is going to get you a job. And it doesn't matter if you say you have a double bachelor or a single bachelor, or it says that you only have a high school. Well, that actually would probably matter. But
yeah. But I think it also depends on where you're trying to work. Like if you are going and applying to a bigger corporation, like I think they might be like, oh, this is interesting, like a double major, industrial design and management.
That's true. Maybe you do get a little perk for that.
That could spark something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're going for a design job, your portfolio is like the thing that gets you in the door. But then, as we talked about with the whole resume discussion, there are little things that can help you get through the door.
Right.
And that might be doing one of these things.
Yeah.
Focusing in on one of these areas.
Well, maybe on your resume, maybe you put single major in industrial design plus I took extra classes in these things. I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. we'll come into the Discord and let the other people tell you how it is.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I gave you not the best advice, but maybe I did. I don't know.
That's the thing. We're here to spitball. We're here to talk through these problems because maybe you don't have anybody to talk to about it. And I love Dave Joseph once said this in the Discord, was like, all of these opinions, like they are, I think he said it's something like they amount to a symphony in your head. So it's like there's nuggets of truth everywhere. You just kind of have to parse them together.
That's an eloquent way.
So anyway,
Shout out of the week.
Shout out of the week.
I found this guy. His name is Steve Geralt, and he is a visual engineer based in New York City. And I gotta say, like, the stuff he makes, this is not design related at all.
It is in a way.
Okay, in a way. He's designing robots to film. A lot of his films are food related. So, you'll see, like, we're watching this. It looks like tea.
Coffee
Coffee or tea being poured into
Coffee.
a glass in slow motion, and then milk's added in, and it's all on a robotic arm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this. It almost looks like if you're doing a keyshot render of something.
Right. It's like multiple robotic arms
I feel like this is sweet tea. Oh, no. It says coffee in the description.
Why would you put milk in sweet tea?
The Brits do.
They don't have sweet tea.
Oh, gosh.
Not that I'm aware of. But
I just got really upset there. That's why I started coughing.
But no, like what Steve is essentially doing, he's got multiple robotic arms that are all controlling, like, and orchestrating what's going on.
I really like the burger flip. Can we look at the burger flip?
Yeah, let's look at the burger flip.
Okay.
So
he has a robotic arm that flips a burger.
Yeah.
And it lands. He has it programmed so well that it lands on a burger patty, and the burger goes up like 3 feet in the air.
And the other thing that is also crucial to this whole process is that the camera itself is on a robotic arm.
Everything's on robots.
So, like, everything, I can't imagine how much, like, testing and like figuring out, like, I don't know how he does it with the camera. Like, I don't know how he programs the robot to do that, or if it's just like a motion sort of thing where he does it once and the robot replicates it.
I bet there's a lot of way to like change how high the burger flips.
Yeah.
And so you kind of just adjust you kind of set the camera, and then you adjust everything else to around the camera.
I mean, he is in New York City. Maybe we can
get him on the pod.
Oh man.
I mean, yeah. This reminds me of like, I guess this is probably for like Applebee's or something.
I love that you go to Applebee's.
It's got that Applebee's aesthetic.
I think
okay, sorry, Chili's. Is it better than that? Is it better than Applebee's?
Well, I guess I was thinking more like Carl's Jr. or
for sure.
Hardee's, or I don't know. But
when I saw the sweet tea, definitely was thinking like Bojangles for sure. I know it's coffee, but it definitely looked like sweet tea.
That's just Nick wanting sweet tea to be in every restaurant in New York.
There's no sweet tea in New York, and it's frustrating.
No,
even at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, and then
that seems illegal to me.
And then the waitresses are just like, "Did you just call me sweetie?"
Oh,
no.
Dear. All right,
no, that doesn't happen. But yeah, really cool work from Steve Geralt.
And that's Steve, SteveGiralt. Yeah, check it out. You'll get sucked into these videos for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, buy a pin, guys.
Hey, buy a pin.
Minor Details pin. We've sold a few more, and we still have more left. So if you want to support the podcast, this is a great way to support us. And just, a little fidget spinner, a little represent. Gotta rep the crowd,
I need to. We should get
unboxing.
We should get Seth Fowler to do an unboxing of the pin.
James is taking it out of the crinkly plastic.
Yeah, we're doing some ASMR here.
Spinning it now.
Yeah.
And then subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Apple, subscribe on Spotify.
Yep.
Spotify's been doing well. I checked the metrics recently.
Yeah.
What else?
Google Play.
Intro outro by KYOSHY the Kid.
Of course.
And yeah, as always, I'm at Nick B. Baker.
And I'm at I Draw on Receipts.
Peace out.
Later.